brutal, I know. It feels so wrong every time. But removing the growing tip should stop them getting any taller and direct their energy into ripening the fruit instead. With the season ticking on, I'd rather have ripe tomatoes than another 2 foot of stem. But let's talk about the real headache in the greenhouse. These aubergines. The plants are producing flowers at an incredible rate, but instead of developing into fruit, they're shriveling up and dropping off. This is all that's left. No tiny fruit forming behind the flower. Just another blossom that's given up. Sometimes I wish I had that mythical green-fingered touch. The kind that could simply coax a struggling plant back to life. Anyway, back in the real world. The first thing I want to improve for them is the light and temperature. Aubergines absolutely love heat, so I'm moving them into the sunniest spot in the greenhouse. It's a simple change, but if they're just not happy enough to set fruit, this should help give them the best possible chance. At the very least, I know they won't complain about having a little more sunshine. Whether that's enough to stop the flowers dropping is another question entirely. Either way, there's another improvement I want to make while I'm at it. But before that, I want to give the plants a bit of a reset. I'm removing some of the old yellowed leaves, clearing away anything that isn't contributing anymore, and giving the plants a bit more space around themselves. These plants have certainly been putting in plenty of effort, producing flower after flower, so now I want to make sure I'm giving them the best possible conditions to turn those flowers into fruit. Now, everything is ready for what comes next. The biggest change I'm making is to how I will water them. I found out aubergines really don't appreciate inconsistent watering, especially when they're trying to flower and set fruit. So instead of watering little and often only from above, I'll be filling the tray up with water as well, so the plants can draw up exactly what they need from below. It should encourage the roots to grow deeper, keep the compost evenly moist, and avoid the constant cycle of drying out and soaking through again. Hopefully this is the missing piece of the puzzle, but I honestly don't know. Rather than reaching for a fresh bag of compost, I'm giving this tray one more chance. It already raised a batch of turnip seedlings, so I'm hoping there's still enough life left in it for one more round. These are stonehead cabbages, and right up until a few days ago I thought they were a spring variety. Turns out they're not. The moment I realized that, I almost put the packet straight back on the shelf. My thinking was simple: if I've missed the right sowing window, what's the point? But then I started questioning that. Was I making a decision based on experience, or was I just making an assumption? Every year the weather is different. Every garden is different. Even from one side of the country to the other, growing conditions can change dramatically. So how can I be so sure these won't work here? The truth is, I can't. They might fail completely, they might surprise me. But I'd much rather find out by growing them than spend the rest of the season wondering what would have happened if I'd simply given them a chance. So, what do you think? Have I missed the boat? Or is there still a chance these will produce a decent crop? The lettuce has come up beautifully, a lovely row of bright green seedlings, but now comes the difficult part. Every single one of these little plants has fought its way into existence. A few weeks ago, I was hoping as many seeds as possible would germinate, and now I'm deliberately removing some of the healthiest ones. It feels completely backwards. Every instinct tells you to keep them all. They look too good to throw away. But this is one of those strange lessons the garden keeps teaching you. Sometimes giving something the best chance means taking something else away. So this isn't really about removing lettuce. It's about making a decision now that should reward me later. The seedlings that remain will have the space, light, and resources they need to thrive. Now it's just a case of letting them get on with it. They've got the space they need, and I'll be interested to see how quickly they fill out over the next few weeks. Lettuce is one of those crops where the changes can happen surprisingly fast, so this should be a good one to keep checking back on. I'm not entirely sure why I felt the need to measure it, but now that I have, we're all invested. One thing I love about working an old patch of allotment ground is that you never quite know what you're going to find. Most of the time it's just roots and stones amongst the weeds, but every now and then you find something that hints at the history of the place. Like this old bottle top here. It doesn't look like much, but this little piece of old vulcanized rubber could have been sitting here for more than half a century. It makes me wonder who last held it, what they were growing here, and what this plot might have looked like back then. Have you ever found anything unusual while gardening? I'd love to know what your strangest discovery has been. I lifted the cover expecting to see nothing but happy cabbages. Instead, I appear to have been cultivating a mare's tail jungle. Not exactly the harvest I had in mind. After a quick tidy up in the cabbage patch, things are looking a little more like I intended. The cabbages have their space back, although I'm under no illusion that the mare's tail has given up. The cabbage patch incursion may have been dealt with, but a few stragglers have escaped the purge. I'm calling that a tactical victory rather than a decisive one. Some weeds give up eventually, but mare's tail just takes it personally. I'm in the mood for a change of pace. The weeds aren't going anywhere, so they can wait while I spend some time on something completely different. I'm aware I probably invested far more enthusiasm in that bench than the finished result deserves. Anyway, my weeding jobs are not over. My mind has a habit of wandering onto the next job before I've even finished the current one. Right now, I can't stop thinking about that monster cucumber plant in the greenhouse. It's taken over the place. It's blocking light from the tomatoes, and after all that growth, it still hasn't produced a single cucumber. I think its days are numbered. One of the hardest things to do in the garden is admit when something isn't working. It's very easy to keep giving a plant one more week, then another, hoping it'll suddenly turn a corner. Sometimes it does, sometimes it never will. Learning the difference is part of becoming a better gardener, even if it's a lesson I'm still learning myself. At the same time, there are other plants that don't need encouraging to grow any bigger. They've already done that part. From here on, it's about helping them finish the season as well as they possibly can. Earlier in the year, I was trying to build as much momentum as possible. Now I'm trying to direct that energy where it'll make the biggest difference. The greenhouse feels less like a collection of individual plants and more like a system that constantly needs adjusting. A little more light here, a bit less growth there. It's just constantly evolving as the season moves on. Hopefully today's decisions are the right ones. The next few weeks should tell me whether I've judged the balance correctly. By the end of today, some plants have earned a little more attention, others a little less, and a few plans have changed completely. I didn't expect that when I arrived this morning, but that's usually how the best gardening days unfold. It's easy to think gardening is about growing plants. More often, it's about learning to change your mind, and I think that's a lesson I'll still be learning for a long time to come.